Peter Devereaux is a retired CIA assassin living in Switzerland, once known as the November Man, because once he passes through, nothing is left alive. It was just 5 years ago Peter was active for the CIA, mentoring a bright young pupil, Agent David Mason, training him on CIA tactics and routines.
You feel the need for a relationship? Get a dog.
Peter and Mason take their first mission after the CIA received a credible threat against the life of a U.S. ambassador visiting Montenegro. Mason goes to take up a sniper's position near the ambassador's stop, while Peter disguises himself as the ambassador. The stop location is a busy city center, and with their only description of their target being a Caucasian male between the ages of 35 and 40, the area is flooded with potentials, making Mason nervous as he scans the crowd.
Too many. I don't like it.
He wants to call the op off, but that isn't an option at this point. As Peter exits the car, he spots the target making his move and alerts Mason, but orders him not to fire. The hitman opens fire, hitting Peter, so Mason eliminates him. However, as a result of disobeying Peter's orders, he has accidentally eliminated an innocent bystander. He thought he had no choice but to eliminate the hitman, but he had his orders. There's no excuse.
Learn to take orders.
It was after this incident that Peter retired, but just 5 years later, the life he left behind came knocking once more. Peter's former handler, CIA agent John Hanley, shows up in Switzerland with one final mission, one that he is certain Peter will be interested in.
No, hello, Hanley. Good to see you.
He shows Peter photos of CIA agents having been eliminated by a Russian assassin, Alexei Demostria, employed by former Russian general-turned-presidential candidate Arkady Fedorov to terminate all connections to his past war crimes. Peter thinks it has nothing to do with him, but Hanley isn't done. A few years ago, a CIA spy infiltrated Fedorov's circle to gather information. This spy turns out to be Natalia, Peter's past love interest and the mother of his secret child. She has uncovered a name, one that would sink Fedorov, but in fear of her life, she wants to come in before she gives it up. Hanley plays it off as a simple mission: go in, get her out, and he will be waiting in Helsinki to extract them both. Peter hesitates, the revelation shocking him.
She asked for you.
But Hanley explains she asked for Peter personally, as she only trusts him with her life. In Moscow, Fedorov goes to address the parliament. Meanwhile, a CIA extraction team led by Mason is parked across the street. As Fedorov gets into his speech, Natalia, who had been standing nearby, seizes the opportunity. She slips back into his office, breaks into his safe, and begins snapping pictures of incriminating photos of Fedorov and some of his victims. Fedorov's address comes to an end, and he starts heading back to his office. But Natalia manages to quickly cover up her tracks before he gets in. She leaves the office without incident, thinking she is home free, but she has made one simple mistake, leaving the key to the safe inside the keyhole. He knows she was the last person inside the office, and now her life is in danger. Natalia drives away from the building, and Mason's team begins following. She knows they are there and sends a confirmation message, so something is definitely off. From the U.S. Embassy in Serbia, Hanley is monitoring the entire op from a drone in the sky. Station Chief Perry Weinstein then decides to sit in on the op as a lot of people are interested in what Natalia has discovered. She is nearing the extraction point, but the plan goes sideways when an FSB capture team gets on her tail.
Who?
It looks like FSB.
Natalia ends up crashing and tries escaping on foot, but luckily Peter shows up and takes out the FSB agents.
Whose car is that she got into?
Natalia is shocked seeing Peter there.
Peter, why are you here?
The CIA is clueless, but Hanley says nothing. But now, suspecting that Natalia may be compromised, Perry orders her eliminated.
No, Perry, you can't!
Natalia and Peter don't even have the time to catch up about their daughter. He needs the name and he needs it now, so Natalia gives it up, Mira Filipova. Peter gives the name to Hanley, only to learn that they've been compromised. He instantly knows what that means and starts scanning the surrounding buildings for a shooter, unaware Mason already has them in his scope. In an instant, a gunshot rips through the windshield, and Natalia is assassinated, but just before she dies, she manages to hand Peter a cell phone. Her death hits Peter hard, but his pain turns into rage when he sees the CIA drone being collected. Mason and his team are moving out when Peter eliminates the driver and guns down the men inside, but then he comes face to face with Mason and realizes it was the CIA all along. Mentor and pupil decide to walk away for the moment. Seeing their longtime agent interfere with their op, Perry decides to be on the next flight in to find out what's happening. Peter can't stop to process what just happened. He needs answers, so he goes through Natalia's cell phone, sees the photos, then removes the memory card. Hanley is looking into Mira Filipova when a CIA grab team bursts in, but he manages to destroy his PC before he is captured. At the Belgrade Center for Refugees, caseworker Alice Fournier is visited by reporter Edgar Simpson regarding a story he is doing on Fedorov. Meanwhile, Alexa lands in Belgrade and gets a hotel room, and she's not here for vacation from what we know about her. Mason is called in for a debriefing about the incident, with Perry's main question being why he didn't shoot. Mason thinks Peter was no threat at that moment. It was a fair interaction. The CIA tried to kill him, but he got to them first. He thinks he can talk Peter out of doing anything crazy, but he doesn't know how deep this goes. Perry shows him photos of Peter and Natalia together, then the realization hits. The woman he killed was someone very important to Peter, and now he will come after them. After killing 3 of their agents, though, the call has come down for Peter to be terminated. The order takes Mason by surprise, but his duty is to follow orders.
I do what I'm told to do, sir.
Peter shows up to Hanley's apartment to see 2 CIA agents going through his PC and quickly knocks them out. Alexa goes to see a hacker who has uncovered info about Mira. She was one of Fedorov's victims who got away 10 years ago and was processed by caseworker Alice, so now Alice becomes her next target. Mason and his team are searching for Peter, unaware he's already in Belgrade, and from the photo they've uncovered from the airport of him waving to the camera, he's definitely not hiding. With the CIA agents bound in plastic wrapping, Peter goes through Hanley's laptop and also sees where Mira was processed by Alice. In a brazen move, Peter calls directly to Mason's team requesting Alice's location, and thinking it's their own agents on location, they give Peter the info. It's a few minutes after that Mason suspects something and calls the second agent, but when he gets no answers, he knows it's Peter.
It's Devereaux.
Alice and Edgar sit to talk in a restaurant. He thinks now that Fedorov is running for president makes him vulnerable, and if he could talk to the girls at her center, he could write the story of the century. Alice's focus, however, is on the victims, and putting their story out there could damage them even further. Plus, in her opinion, Fedorov cannot be stopped. At the same time, Peter shows up there. Alexa approaches Alice disguised as a waitress, telling her there's a call for her in the office, as it seems her cell isn't working. Peter then calls her, blowing the ruse, warning that the waitress is a killer. Knowing Alexa won't act in a crowd, Peter calls Alice to him. They escape Alexa, but Mason and his team arrive there. Peter knocks one agent off his bike and disappears into a crowded market with Alice before Mason can get to him. Peter then calls Mason, casually greeting him as if they aren't engaged in a high-stakes chase. Mason then starts running training scenarios. His target is old, washed up, and thinks he has the upper hand, but Peter cuts to the chase. 6 agents will not be enough to contain him. He slips into an underground train station, but Alice refuses to take another step until she knows what's going on. She did nothing wrong, and Peter believes her, but the men chasing her won't, and she needs to trust him. Mason and his agents are closing in. One man spots Alice, but she lures him into a trap and Peter knocks him out, puts a number in his cell phone, and disappears once more. Mason and his men regroup, and Peter calls again, urging Mason to find him, only for them to realize the call is being diverted through their own agent's cell phone. They soon get back on Peter's tail, but he keeps talking and taunting Mason. He asks him about all the innocent people he has killed, and if it bothers him, but Mason swears he sleeps like a baby. He plans to use Peter's training to take him down, but Peter still has a few lessons for him. He allows himself to be tracked to a parking lot, breaks a car window causing the alarm to give away his position, then cuts the car's gas line. Mason and his team get to the parking lot and begin closing in on the car, thinking they have Peter cornered, but when they get close enough, Peter pulls up in a car letting off shots which ignite the fuel, sending the agents flying. Peter wants to know about Mira, but that was a case Alice handled years ago. He senses she is hiding something and warns that if the Russian assassin doesn't get to her, the CIA will. She has files on all the girls she's helped, so they decide to head to her office. Along the way, she wonders why he hates Mason so much, but Peter doesn't hate him. In fact, he may have been one of the best friends he ever had. They get to her office and she shows him Myra's file, but she insists she has no idea where she is. Peter then spots a photo posted on her wall of a man whom she knows as a pimp named Lebedenko, but Peter reveals his real name is Simi Denisov, Fedorov's right hand during the Chechen conflict. He asks Simi's location and learns he is right there in Belgrade. Peter and Alice track Simi to his club and clear his section when he learns Peter is here to see him. Peter wants information, so he tells him Arkady has sent an assassin to eliminate him. Feeling indebted for the info, Simi reveals that during the time when Arkady was a general, Russia wanted Chechnya's oil, but Chechnya refused to hand it over. So Arkady triggered the war by blowing up a building filled with Russian soldiers, and just like that, Russia got its oil. Arkady could not have pulled off the operation by himself, though, and got help from none other than the CIA. Hanley is being held at a CIA black site overseen by Agent Celia. The CIA have uncovered his trip to Switzerland where he activated Peter, and want to know why, but Hanley feels insulted. He's a senior CIA agent who wrote the training manual she is going by, so how can she be interrogating him?
Excuse me?
But Celia isn't fazed. Since he wrote the manual, then he knows the extent she can take things to. Perry goes over Mason's phone call with Peter. He thinks Peter got in his head and played him for a fool. Maybe he still looks up to Peter in some way, so Perry hands over a flash drive containing Peter's real thoughts about him, trying to drive a wedge between the two. Later he accesses the drive and what he sees bothers him, but it really shouldn't. It's Peter's recommendation that he be dropped from the CIA program. That night Peter breaks into a seemingly random apartment, but nothing is random with Peter, and the apartment turns out to be right across the street from Mason's, and he is soon seen leaving to go on a date with his neighbor. Alice wonders why he saved her. Maybe he is actually a nice person, but Peter is only focused on the mission, warning Alice that he'll disappoint her if she places her faith in him. Mason and his date have a great time and even hit it off inside the club. Meanwhile, Peter stalks his apartment like a predator. To kill time, Alice starts playing a tune on a grand keyboard, and she calls the name of the song in fluent Russian.
Speak Russian.
Explaining that her parents were professors. The tone then shifts when Mason and his date return home. They get back to Mason's apartment and caught up in the heat of the moment, they proceed to make love. Peter gets dressed. The hunt is still on for Mira, and now that Alice is safe, he is unable to bring her with him where he has to go. So he leaves her cash and a cell phone, telling her to go where no one can find her and wait for a call. A while later Mason wakes, unable to find his date next to him, but when he sees that his gun is missing, he knows something is off. He gets dressed and starts checking around the apartment until he stumbles upon Peter casually holding his girl at gunpoint. Mason demands he let her go, but Peter has no intention to, explaining to the woman that Mason is trying to decide if she is worth saving. He forces her to ask Mason,
Am I worth saving?
And Mason confesses that she is, and that's all Peter wanted to hear. Mason then brings up his file, demanding to know why Peter wanted him dropped when he had no choice but to take the shot, but to Peter he made the wrong choice. Peter came to kill him tonight, but decides to give him one last opportunity to show that he's still human at heart and values human life. Peter places his gun on the table and allows Mason to pick it up. Now for his last lesson. The femoral artery of the woman he loves is severed while his target stands before him. What will he do? Peter then slashes the woman's artery and escapes, but Mason chooses to save the girl. Meanwhile at the safe house, Hanley reveals that in bringing Peter in he was just trying to secure the data in order to have leverage on Arkady when he became president. Alice secretly meets with Edgar, planning to tell him everything she knows about Arkady, and learns that he is currently in town for an energy conference. Inside Edgar's apartment, Alice reveals she knew Mira. Fedorov took a liking to her, but unaware to him, she was pretending to be mute. But before Alice can say another word, Alexa appears and eliminates Edgar with a blade. With the last of his strength, though, he manages to hold on to Alexa, giving Alice just enough time to get a head start on her assassin. Mason cleans up, cools down, and decides to go over Peter's files when he notices something. A small girl and all his and Natalia's photos together. Then he puts the pieces together. Peter has a daughter. Meanwhile, Peter infiltrates the CIA safe house and takes out the 2 agents posted outside before bursting in. His focus is on Hanley. Natalia had no idea he would be in Moscow, and he demands an explanation. Hanley explains that the CIA decided to bring Natalia in after she started acting strangely. If they did that, she would have been killed, so he wanted Peter to save her. She had a witness who could confirm that Fedorov dropped the building on his own men to start the Chechen War.
We did it!
But Peter knows it was the CIA. Hanley's mood changes instantly, demanding to know who Peter has been talking to. He then confesses that it was all Perry. He is trying to cover up his connection with Fedorov by going after Mira. She was far from mute, fluent in both Russian and English, as both her parents were university professors, and one name pops into Peter's mind: Alice. Mason and his team are also narrowing down their search on Alice. Her name belongs to a woman who's long been dead, so they run facial recognition. Alice has decided to stop running. She goes to Lebedenko asking for a favor on behalf of Peter, but later turns up at Arkady's hotel dressed like a call girl. Peter calls. He knows everything, but Alice is determined to confront Arkady on her own. His guards allow her to pass after a quick search, not in the least suspecting anything. She gets to Arkady's room, and he loves what he is seeing, so he sends her to the restroom to freshen up. There Alice has a dark memory of Arkady eliminating her entire family before her eyes, then being used by him and his men for pleasure. The memory shakes her, but she gathers herself. She breaks a small mirror, then hides one of the shards down the back of her dress. She goes back to Arkady, but in an instant she puts the shard to his neck. She tells him this is for her family, but this makes him realize who she really is. Alice hesitates when Arkady brings up their past together, unable to put an end to the man who tormented her. Luckily, Peter shows up, gunning down the guards posted outside. He bursts into the room, urging Alice to stand down. She wants him dead, but he needs to face justice. Peter has her start filming on her cell phone before asking the real question. Which CIA agent helped him run his operation all those years ago? Arkady hesitates, so Peter hands Alice a gun to stand guard before deciding to play Russian roulette with Arkady.
Who was the American agent? Bullets are running out.
The longer he refuses to answer, Peter continues to pull the trigger. They don't have much time though, as Mason and his team show up, having figured out everything. Back in the apartment, Arkady finally gives up the name Hanley. He shows Arkady a photo to confirm, and even Alice remembers seeing him. They rush out of the apartment but run into Mason and his team, but Peter keeps him back with gunfire. He instructs Alice to wait for him at a nearby hotel, then takes out another agent while pushing towards the basement with Mason hot on his heels. He and another agent get there and split up to search for Peter. Mason gets to the boiler room, but there Peter attacks him. The two throw each other back and forth. Peter manages to get the upper hand, but he doesn't want to kill Mason, instead leaving a cell phone behind telling him to check it out. When Mason gets back to base, he and Celia watch Arkady's confession. They must inform Perry, but when they enter his office, none other than Hanley is sitting in the chair, revealing he is their new boss. Peter gets to Alice's hotel room. He gives her the option to disappear, to start a new life with a new identity, but Alice decides to stop running. She wants to see things to the end. The next morning, Peter is ready to go. He has plans to pick up his daughter Lucy from boarding school and rings her cell phone, only to hear Hanley's voice on the other end. Without missing a beat, Peter promises to end him if he touches Lucy, but Hanley isn't scared, he is in charge. Despite his methods, the CIA values the intel he has on Fedorov over the methods he used to get them. To add insult to injury, he taunts Peter that Mason was the one who brought Lucy in, and he should be proud of his star pupil.
The boy did good.
He's done taunting. If Peter wants to see Lucy again, he will bring Alice to a local park nearby. With this, Peter instructs Alice to head to the train station and purchase 3 tickets, as he plans to save Lucy no matter the odds against him. Peter is already at the park when Hanley, Mason, and other agents show up. There Hanley brags that his actions will force Fedorov to bow to the USA and join NATO, the culmination of years of work. Alice is waiting at the train station's cafe when she decides to publish her story, just in case they don't make it, but this alerts Alexa to her location. Hanley allows Peter to hear Lucy's voice, but a plan is in motion, and Celia starts tracing the call's location. Hanley demands Mira and learns she is at a bus station waiting to leave, so he sends Mason and another agent to find her. Celia finally traces the call's location and sends the data to Mason, who is driving with the other agent. Once he gets the location, he buckles up and hits the gas, and while the other agent is freaking out, he drives headfirst into a wall, taking out the man. Mason takes out 2 men guarding the location before diving into the room, eliminating the last man and rescuing Lucy. Alexa gets to the train station, and she and Alice make eye contact before Alice takes off running towards the street with Alexa giving chase. Alice gets to the street first, then lies in wait and knocks Alexa over the head with a shovel, and instead of running away, she returns to the computer to finish her story. Mason returns to the park, then surprises Hanley by swiftly taking out the agents there. Peter disarms one nearby before they both hold a shocked Hanley at gunpoint, a well-formulated plan. In the end, Peter reunites with Lucy, then meets up with Alice, who has completed her story, and they catch the train together. A few weeks later, Alice testifies against Hanley, while Fedorov drops out of his presidential race. He is still enjoying life, though, hanging out on a yacht with some beautiful ladies. He steps out to enjoy the view when a bullet rips through his head. Thanks for watching. If you had a good time, go ahead and hit that like button, drop a comment, and of course, subscribe for more recaps just like this. And hey, don't click away just yet. YouTube thinks you'll love one of these 2 videos popping up right here, so check them out next.